Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel once again today. My name is Andy Campbell and today I'm bringing something a little bit different than just random dirt action and races from Competitive Racing Club. It is my brief, well, I say brief, I do talk a lot, but it's my reactions to the F1 2020 trailer that dropped today. You're seeing the actual trailer on screen. There'll be a few screenshots of some of the cars up there as well. So all from Codemasters, so just used for illustrative purposes, of course. But they've announced that the game is going to be released on Friday, the 10th of July 2020 for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Xbox One X, Windows, and also for Google Stadia, which nobody gives a damn about. In the season, obviously, where Lewis Hamilton can possibly equal Michael Schumacher's 7 World Championships, there's also a special Schumacher Deluxe edition as well, but we'll come on to that very shortly indeed. Now, the first thing, obviously, is for me, you would have seen on that trailer, but just going through there, something called My Team. Be the 11th team on the grid. Oh, right. I mean, this is me being a bit of a, bit of a gamer. Ooh, I love this actual edition here. Okay, I know a lot of people are going to go on about online. I'll touch on my thoughts on that shortly because we don't know a lot. But my team, basically, it's another mode alongside your usual career mode where you can basically create an 11th team to join the grid and become driver cars 21 and 22 basically on the grid, and you become a driver manager as well, which is just absolutely brilliant. There's going to be, you know, setting the livery, picking sponsors, engine supplier, you know, R&D development, where, factory stuff, all that kind of things. It's basically a mini manager game in amongst being a driver, where you could, if you name the team after yourself, basically become the first person to take a car with your own name to championship glory since Jack Brabham done it back in the 60s. Certain things that you could bring back an old team. I've seen people talking about going Minardi, Manor, Marussia, Andrea Moda for freaking crying out loud. So there's plenty of options there to go a bit nuts. And I really like this. It's actually made me excited to drive on the game again. F1 2019, I did drive quite a wee bit in the initial period and then kind of dropped off. F1 2018, I did not like the driving mechanics at all. Don't know why. So it's made me excited there because that's something that could be really, really good, really something to enjoy, whether I record it and put it onto YouTube for you guys to see or whether I just do it for my own fun and games, who knows. But it's definitely something I'm looking forward to. I love a manager game as well, Football Manager, the old Championship Manager as well, since I am old school and a bit older, I do remember the name as well. So this kind of meshing of the two is just, mwah! Oh, I like it. I really, really like it. Also, when you're playing My Team or traditional career mode, you do have the ability to either do the full 22 calendar season, the original season that we were due to have before the worldwide pandemic kicked in, or you can have a shorter 10 or 16 race season as well. So it gives you the ability to go through the seasons at your pace. If you're someone who wants to do all 22, you can do that. If you want to drop it down to a shorter season, you can do that as well. And that's great because once you get through a couple of seasons, if you're doing a full 22, 21, 22 race calendar, it does get a bit boring after a while because you're going through all of it. Whereas if you have a shorter amount of seasons, it maybe keeps things a wee bit more interesting for you as well. So I do like that addition into it. And obviously, we're going to be able to drive on the Hanoi circuit, the home of the Vietnam Grand Prix, which obviously got postponed, and the Circuit Zandvoort with its 34 or whatever it is degree banking through the final corner, the home of the Dutch Grand Prix, which also got postponed as well due to the ongoing worldwide situation. So we're actually going to get to drive those tracks on the game first before the actual drivers do. In fact, this game's likely to be released before we have any on-track action, probably. So that'll be a first. And it'll be interesting to see how Codemasters also decide to balance out the cars on very little information at this point in time, apart from testing, which isn't the most reliable, let's be perfectly honest. So it will be interesting to see how they go about doing that, and we'll need to wait and see what happens. Other adjustments into it, you've got two-player split screen, so if you're playing at home with friends or anything like that, you can have a two-player split screen rather than having to just be online. I can see some benefit to that for some people, but I think that's going to be a small minority, in my opinion, could be an interesting one for me and my partner to do on the pad. See who can be the worst or the best or whatever. So I don't see much mileage in that for most people. More customizable settings. So there's going to be a lot of different options to go with the customization they put into 2019. So obviously your race suit, your helmet, your gloves, and all that kind of thing. Going to add in more of that. Will also be the F2 in there as well, racing. So you'll still be able to do that. I would be interested to see in my career, at least, and not my team obviously, but in my career, how they implement that. Because last time we obviously got a free race scenario where you had to do certain tasks, and that helped to differentiate what team you could sign for. Um, are they going to do something similar again, just so you can get into the actual F1 itself, or might they implement a bit more of a longer mini season to F2 possibly? That would be interesting, in my opinion, to do an actual, even if it was a 5 race season of F2, but actual races rather than the scenario modes, so to speak. So we'll need to wait and see on that one. Obviously, the general edition will be called the F1 2020 F1 70 edition. So it's obviously 70 years of F1, so it'll be an exclusive set of in-game items and a limited edition steelbook depending on where you purchase it from and which retailer. But the other part, and you'll have seen it on the screen as well, is the other edition is the Michael Schumacher Deluxe Edition. Now, this is obviously going to give you the ability to drive as some of the cars that the legendary 7-time champion Schumacher himself drove. In fact, it's going to be for his first lot of cars. So it's going to be his first ever F1 car, which is the beautifully simplistic Jordan 191 in its 7-up blue and green livery that he drove at Belgium for one race before Benetton snapped him up. We're also going to have the 1994 Benetton 194. That's the car that he took to his first ever World Championship in 1994 and was quite a controversial car in one sense as well. It was, if I remember correctly, it's also the last V8 engined car before they brought in V8s later on to have won a championship when you could still do either V8, V10 or V12. You can see it on screen just now. We've then also got the next year's car, the B195, which is now on your screen. That was the car that took him to championship glory for his second world title. That had a V10 Renault in the back and, well, pretty much peerless through that season as well. And then obviously you've also got the first ever Ferrari World Championship car for Schumacher, which was the year 2000, the Ferrari F1 2000 that he drove in that year, and he became the first drivers' champion for the Scuderia since Jody Scheckter in 1979. Now I'd imagine those are going to also come with certain scenario modes, a bit like what Prost and Senna did and some of the other classic stuff has done over the years. We'll still, I'd imagine, have the older classic cars we've had, like the Williams cars and the Braun and the other Ferraris and the McLarens, etc. I would love them to put in some classic tracks as well, but I know licensing can be an issue, so it's going to be a bit of a pain. I would love to see things like maybe Adelaide, which has obviously already won the '94 championship in controversial circumstance. He was obviously had an amazing race at the Nürburgring in '95, coming from the back of the field in wet, dry conditions to win. Places like that you don't have on the calendar right now would be very, very interesting to have. So I'd love to see that, but I get the feeling we maybe won't see that in this game. And then obviously we've got the usual stuff, the online kind of things, etc. Now, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter already with their opinions in regards to one of the parts that's been said by Lee Maffer, who is the game director. So they've also added, see, he quotes, "We've also added new modes to enable more casual players to get up to speed more easily. We've also brought back the split screen that we spoke about. The additions reduce both the difficulty and time barrier to entry while retaining the car handling that a simulation that players love." Now, that's a double-edged sword for most people, let's be perfectly honest. I much prefer 2019 to 2018. I'm not going to lie. Okay, I don't know what it was. I done a little bit in 2018 and I got so fed up with it I only used it for commentaries. That's what I really started doing my commentaries on. 2019 I did play a bit. I got up to Monza in a season, but work and other stuff just got in the way and eventually I stopped playing it again. So I'm hoping that my team stuff keeps my interest a bit longer. I know a lot of people would love to see it go to a proper simulation, especially those who run in leagues. esports events and all that kind of stuff. And to some extent, I would love to see that as well. However, Codemasters have to do the circus tightrope without the safety net trick. They have to appeal to the hardcore gamer as much as possible. Those who play it religiously, they'll rack up hour upon hour upon hour, picking out the right setups, getting fastest lap times and world records, league racing, trying to qualify for esports events. But they also need to appeal to the casual player as well, because F1 might have hundreds of millions of fans worldwide, but it is motorsport and it is a niche market in some sense, especially when it comes to gaming in some sense. Gran Turismo and Forza can give you a little bit more road related to it as well, which can kind of drag some viewers because it is proper sort of arcade style. F1's got to try and get in the mix, because if it doesn't bring in new fans, the sport obviously won't prosper. And there needs to be a mix of that as well. So I'd love to see it go more simulation, but at the same time, I get Codemasters are walking that tightrope, as I say. It's a tricky thing for them to balance between the two, because you can't have one and you can't have a bit of one and a bit of the other properly. You can't have like a full-on simulation mode and an arcade mode. I don't think it would probably take up too much development time, I would imagine, as well. And Codemasters obviously working with what they've got. I think what they've put out here so far looks promising. Yes, a lot of the features today are centered around single player offline mode. I understand that. I will be interested to see what things come further down the line, especially in regards to online, because obviously being a commentator, I know a lot of people that are probably going to watch this might be interested in online as well. So it will be interesting to see what comes up. In terms of me from a commentary point of view, I would love to see maybe a change to the graphics where the fastest lap goes up at the top of the screen like it does in actual TV graphics. I think that would be pretty cool to kind of make it mimic a bit more. I would also like them to have hopefully picked up better camera shots, because there's nothing worse when you're a commentator and you're controlling the cameras and you're trying to pick up a battle where there's 2 or 3 cars about to go side by side into a corner, and it gives you the worst camera angle possible and you're jumping between it trying to pick something so you don't miss the action. I really hope they've got rid of some of those, because those were an absolute annoyance to no end for someone like me who brings the coverage and commentary to things like Apex Online Racing, for example, and things like that. Now, there are no other commentators get frustrated with it as well. The camera angles can be a bit pernickety. There's some crackers, but there's some not very good ones. So I hope they've picked up on that and tweaked the graphics to make it look a bit more like the TV. I think that would be really, really cool. But we'll need to wait and see what Codemasters bring out further in regards to like online stuff, etc. So we'll just need to wait and see. But I'm excited for the new game. I hope you guys are as well. 10th of July is the release. If you get the Schumacher pack, I think it's 3 days early access. So I'm going to head into work tomorrow and probably book myself about a week off to have a good go at it. Let's be perfectly honest. It's the only time I'll get a good chunk of play at it, maybe. Who knows? Too many things to do, and I do have a proper job, obviously. But hey. But that's my thoughts. Tell me what you think below. Remember, this is just my opinion. I'm not bashing anyone else's opinion. You might think it's, this what's been brought out isn't great. It's not promising. Some people might think it's brilliant. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and that's all you've got to remember. Is it is obviously just an early indication of what's coming. I do like the look of some of it. But that's all for now. Thanks very much for watching. If you haven't done so already, do subscribe to the channel. Bringing more content, trying to bring more stuff out as I'm going along. My name is Andy. Like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, I'll see you soon. Zara.